For more on this, I'm joined by human rights activist Mark Heywood. Mark, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. Took them a while to get to this point, but I would imagine it's a welcome move nevertheless.
Good afternoon, Vuyo. Yes, it has taken Tiger Brands nearly 6 years to get to this point. It is 6 years since the Listeriosis outbreak that killed 218 people and made upwards of 1,000 other people seriously ill, many of them with permanent illness and disability. And only today, on the 30th of October, has Tiger Brands issued a statement in which, as you've said, they've made an offer to the attorneys of the Listeriosis victims to make interim payments for people with urgent medical needs. Vuyo, whilst it is certainly progress, it's not enough. It is a promise, it's not an actual agreement. Tiger Brands has made this announcement today as part of its annual trading statement on the very same day that they've written to the lawyers of the Listeriosis victims making the same offer. So, you know, the claim that they have made this proposal some time ago is nonsense. It is very, very new. It is to be welcomed, but it's not enough.
And also, I mean, it's still very ambiguous. I mean, you don't know what criteria, I mean, they will be using and what urgent is, actually means. I mean, the other day I listened to you and of course, one of the women who lost everything, who lost her house, who has huge medical bills that she has had to settle already. And you wonder whether such people, because I don't know what urgent medical bills mean in that context, for example.
Exactly. And I think that Tiger Brands has a duty to tell the public what they mean by urgent medical needs, but also to tell the public what other hoops they are expecting people to jump through in order to qualify. You know, this is not a theoretical or an abstract problem. As you yourself have said, you know, little Teto Ngobeni, the daughter of Montla Ngobeni, who was infected with listeriosis, is suffering today, is incurring costs today. The family is incurring costs today. They have been incurring costs for 6 years. There is urgency to stop playing games and start putting concrete proposals on the table that will bring some relief and some remedy to the people who've been affected. So, you know, I find it interesting. It's important that at last they're saying something, because their response has largely been characterized by silence, but we need them to go much further.
And I mean, there has to be a point at which we also ask, why is there such a monastic silence on the part of the country's political leadership on this?
Well, I think so. I think that's a good question. Remember that, you know, take a tragedy like Life Esidimeni, where 144 people died as a result of the actions of the Gauteng Health Department. You know, understandably and justifiably, there was public outcry, and understandably, eventually, government had to start to speak out on it. In this instance, 218 people dead. The Department of Health has said hardly a word about the listeriosis outbreak and the culpability of Tiger Brands. And I believe that it shouldn't just be the families who are crying out for justice and the supporters of the families. It should be government who is demanding that Tiger Brands come to the table and settle this matter properly, bringing an end to the families' pain. You know, it's funny, Vuyo, you know, I'm visiting the United States at the moment. There's just been a big outcry here because of an outbreak of E. coli by McDonald's that I think may have led to one death or one person becoming severely ill. McDonald's has withdrawn the products, has publicly apologized already within days for that outbreak. But here we're sitting with Tiger Brands, who still can't get it in themselves to say, we are sorry, we admit liability, we accept the scientific evidence that irrefutably connects the polony that we produced in Polokwane at our factory to the people who got sick and died. They can't do any of that. And yet at the same time, they want to claim the mantle of being a leading South African company. It doesn't square up.
In fact, I'm wondering whether it's a coincidence that you now have this offer, vague as it is, coming so soon after activists like yourself, lawyers, actually came forward out into the public and said there is no doubt, there is a very direct link, it's indisputable, that there is a link between the Listeriosis outbreak and what actually happened, or the conditions at that factory.
There is no coincidence. There's a direct connection between the public speaking out and the speaking out of families in particular, again, people like Montla Ngubeni, and Tiger Brands eventually feeling that they have to say something. But as far as I'm concerned, what they're saying is still completely insufficient at this moment in time. I also think they may be squirming a little bit because their statement about listeriosis is tagged on to the bottom of their annual trading statement, in which they announce a growth in profits by the company for the shareholders. So Tiger Brands is doing very nicely, thank you. It is making some people rich. It is a successful company, but whilst its shareholders are getting richer, it is leaving behind at least 1,000 families living with the consequences of the negligence in the way in which it produced polony at its factory in Polokwane in 2017, 2018.
Well, what can one say? We shall see. Mark Heywood, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for